Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier, is a mobile battle royale set in the universe of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is coming to Android and iOS and has a lot of potential, but my time with the beta has left me confused. Should you play this game? I can only answer a bit of this question as I have only played the beta, and things may change on the final release based on feedback that we give to Square Enix and the developers of this game. So, let's get to it. After playing this game for 15 hours, I came to the conclusion that the game feels like it wants to do too many things, but it doesn't do any of these things particularly well. Let me elaborate. On one end, this game feels like a love letter to Final Fantasy VII Remake fans. The locales you can fight in, the mechanics that are introduced to you all ooze the atmosphere of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I personally love some of the innovative things that they were trying to do, such as being able to control where you land with your helicopter. So instead of like being on a magic school bus and you just drop based on where the bus is going, you get to choose where to fly to and how high or low your altitude is before you launch. That's all pretty cool and fits into the whole Shinra military feel of the game. And there are other mechanics such as like leveling up your materia to cast cooler and stronger spells, having boss monsters and enemies to fight, and even having parkour. Even if the parkour is currently really janky and not well implemented, it is cool that that mechanic is being implemented into the game. Being able to fight around the 7th Heaven Bar or an Aerith's Church was pretty cool as well. And yeah, I guess what was I expecting, right, from a battle royale with the Final Fantasy VII Remake skin? Oh, speaking of skin, let's talk about customization. You get to pick between 4 classes: the warrior, the ranger, the monk, and the sorcerers. Each class has its own passive abilities and skills, which we will cover later in this video. You can buy new skins and costumes like other battle royales. I was secretly hoping for a character creator, but alas, it seems that is not the case. Who knows, maybe I could be proven wrong in the full game release. You can also unlock weapon and vehicle skins or buy them from what I assume will be the cash shop. There are also extra accessories like Cloud's Buster Sword that you can unlock and equip on your back. It's a missed opportunity though, because imagine being able to swing the Buster Sword or equip it as a class set. Oh well. On the gameplay side, this game seems to want to be an arcadey action shooter with low time to kill, crazy melee tracking, and absolutely no way to escape it once you are pounded by melee hits. Did I mention the extremely low time to kill? Yet, this game also wants to be a tactical shooter. There are many tools in this game that seems to be designed for team play and drawn out firefights. There are also objectives such as bosses for you and your friends to prioritize and plan around, and supply drops for people to fight over. The tools that seem geared towards team play are tied to the classes that you can play as in this game. The warrior and the rogue seem best for solo play, while the monk and the sorcerer seem better for team play. I do think warriors have an innate advantage over all the other classes, however, as the class itself has 2 dashes, and this is really important because no other class has any dash whatsoever. Combine this with the low time to kill and you have a recipe for a game design that promotes safety. So people don't want to take risky plays or move around too much because they are at risk of dying very quick and have no way of escaping once they are pinned down by some unknown shooter. Going back to the warrior though, their first dash is a shielded dash where you can control the direction, so this is really important for getting out of danger or approaching in on enemies without dying. And the other dash is tied to their melee, so if you melee somebody within your range, you just dash to them, and again, other classes have no way of escaping this, and they will die very fast. So the sorcerer is all about enhancing materia usage and allowing for more unique playstyle based around MP management and using all the materials you can unlock in the game. Of course, this is random at first until you find vendors and play later into the game. Then the sorcerers start becoming stronger and stronger because then you can start playing to a specific style instead of just picking up whatever you can find. The monk starts out with the projectile barrier wall, but you can change this skill to be a ground AoE heal. It seems like a very supportive class overall and way suited for team play. The projectile barrier wall doesn't seem so useful in solo play, but in team play I'm sure that will come in handy quite often. The ranger lets you track people better when you aim down sights at an enemy. You kind of basically mark them and they become more visible to you for a limited time. This is very useful in this game because of the mostly bland environments of this game and how the characters blend in with their environment. It's very hard to see people in this game, and I think that's another issue with this game is clarity, where since we're on a mobile game, everybody has different devices and specs. Not everybody's gonna have the same render distance, and it's hard to see people anyways. But just imagine having a medium range phone and not a Samsung S20 or something like that, and you're gonna struggle to see people, and you're probably gonna die before you even see anybody. And combine that with the inability to move around, be mobile. That's definitely gonna suck for a lot of people, and yeah, it's not very easy on the eyes. I do think though that the world looks bland and crappy is a good thing because it fits the style and themes of Midgard's slums. So this is more a lore and story thing. However, on a gameplay perspective, especially on mobile devices, being able to see a character is very important, and I think that needs to be worked on. Speaking of being a mobile game, the network optimization is not very good. People teleport around a lot. I wouldn't be surprised, but I had just recently covered and played another mobile shooter, Super Mecha Champions, and the one nice thing about Super Mecha Champions is that when a player lags, they remain frozen in place and do not affect anyone else. Another nice thing about Super Mecha Champions is, although the time to kill in that game is also pretty low, the player has 2 emergency buttons. One is summoning the mecha, which makes you invulnerable, not your mech though, so your mech can get blown up, but you as the character are invulnerable, and 2 dodge rolls. So you can try to get out of that position if you are ever caught in one. And being a mobile game, you don't have the best accurate control, so you can't just turn around and shoot somebody in the head. I think it's important to have these kinds of emergency buttons for mobile games. If this was a PC game, definitely unnecessary, for sure. Going back to low time to kill, I like low time to kill, but I don't think it fits well with mobile games that do not offer mobility, as mentioned before. It's one thing to headshot snipe someone without them knowing when you have them in your sights for a long period of time. It's another to one-shot people all the time, especially with a base gun right as you land on the ground at the start of the game. The fun in a shooter comes from a tense firefight, not me just killing everybody one shot without even having like the best gun or very good aim. Controls aside, most players will be unable to escape from a bad situation due to how it was designed, and I think in the long term this will negatively impact the game and how it is played at a higher level, just because it promotes safety and stagnant firefights instead of being risky or moving forward. Basically saying if you're in a good spot, you should just camp that spot and never move. People who want to get good at this game will play it safer and take less risks because there are not many ways to counterplay certain things like a warrior's dashing melee attack or being caught out in the open. I think it's also important to consider that mobile games have aim assist and not the best controls for moving and shooting, so players need a mechanic to try to reset the situation or even the playing field somehow. Just because if they were caught unaware, sure, they should be at a disadvantage, but they shouldn't be outright dead. Unless they were fighting a very, very good sniper who headshotted them, then they should be dead. I totally agree with that one. So after all that has been said, should you play this game? That depends on who you are. If you want a more anime PUBG replacement, maybe give this game a shot. It might be worth your time. If you're looking for a new main game to invest your time and get good at, wait till I review the final release, because right now, based on the beta, that's a no from me, fam. I like the IP, I want this game to succeed, but the design incoherency and overall flow of the game can be really off-putting after extended play. If you are not a Final Fantasy VII Remake fan, I will just stick to other Battle Royale games like PUBG or Super Mecha Champions, especially because I think Super Mecha Champions is better designed due to how focused it is on the mecha battle mechanic, and their focus is great for games. That game has a way of making you feel very good when you are getting proficient at piloting a mech, and I think that carries over into how you view the game, because once you start understanding the underlying mechanics behind a mech battle, you start to appreciate the game more and more. Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier needs something like that, a core focus. With a focus, this game could really shine. It can do way more with less, and I think it should. I think for this game to succeed, it has to start focusing on core things that it wants to be, not everything. So start trimming down and focusing on what's really important.
Go! I got this!